Hello and welcome to 5 Questions with your classical educator. You all thought we didn't have any more coming, but we do. Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
With us today, we have Father Michael DeHaven, and he is going to be joining us for the academic year 23-24, and hopefully for many, 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 many years, Father. Many years to come. He's going to be teaching along with our other fathers, Catechism 4, a section of that, Catechism 5, a section of that, Catechism 6, a section of that. And then he is also going to be doing 2 semester classes that you can actually take together for a year-long class on everyday saints. And, it's going to be a very interesting class. In that they are going to cover who the saints are on a weekly basis with projects and deep discussions and how it relates to our life and our theoses that we are trying to have with God. In addition, a very exciting class, which I'm going to take the adult class. So if you want to take a class with me, make sure you come and take it. It's going to be, and I already forgot the name, Father, Astronomy and Holy Scripture, the Heavens Declare. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And, Father Michael, I'm not going to give away too much because our preview week actually starts tomorrow on the 18th. And then, of course, we are going to begin registration 1 week early, starting Monday. But I'm really excited about, all of the classes you're going to be offering because, Father Michael is a solid presence in the Orthodox community. And of course, the Saints course and the astronomy course, because as we know, celestial ideas are presented in biblical scripture. And I look forward to learning more about that because I don't know a whole lot.
All right. Well, it'll be good to have you.
Yay. So, Father Michael, tell us
Yes.
A bit about you, your family, anything you would like to share with us.
Okay. Well, I'm a native Kansan and currently living in Kansas. In fact, I serve as the deacon with Father Nikolai Myers at Saints Peter and Paul in Topeka, Kansas. He's been with us since 2019, so he came just in time for COVID. And I grew up in Wichita, been living in Topeka since 2000. When did I start living in Topeka? 2001, actually, I guess is when I started living here. And I have a wife. I've been married to Sandra since 1991, however many years that is.
That's a while.
A while. 2 grown daughters. My younger daughter is 21, just turned 21, and my older daughter is 29.
Wow.
So she'll be turning 30 soon. Yeah, and currently no cats, but we usually have cats. We're gonna get another 1 or 2 here in May. So
nice.
Yeah, so I'm a cat fan.
I'm a cat fan too, although we don't have cats. We have birds.
Okay.
It was a compromise. Father wanted
cats and birds don't go together very well.
Father wanted a dog. I wanted a cat. We ended up with birds.
All right, that works.
Oh, it's so wonderful. And fun fact about Father Michael is he's a fluent German speaker. Yes. And that's interesting.
And German teacher.
And yes, sorry. Yes. And German teacher. Yes. And also just talk about that as well. He also does take on assignments in the tutoring center. So for those of you that may be interested, whether it's theology or German, you're interested, he does take assignments for private course instruction and supplemental tutoring in the tutoring center with Scole Academies. So you are a talented individual, and we are excited that you are joining our faculty of friends at St. Raphael School and our community. So welcome officially.
Thank you.
Now I get to ask you questions.
All
Very
right.
important questions.
Very important questions. I hope I have very important answers.
So, I know, right? These are so difficult. Well, some are difficult.
Some are difficult, yeah.
Yeah, not all of them. Question number one, who is one of your favorite authors? And explain.
One of my favorite authors. Okay. I actually had a hard time with this question because there are a number of different authors that I've read, grew up reading, um, Tolkien and Lewis and some other authors as well. Uh, I have to say the one author though who really kind of uh, formed my quirky sense of humor would be Douglas Adams. He wrote the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. Not sure I could recommend as clergy, but hey, it's what it is. So.
Well, what I love and the genre is, what would you call his genre? Like, it's not just sci-fi.
It's not just sci-fi, yeah. I really don't know how to classify it. It is to some degree sci-fi. It very much is in that strain, but yeah, I don't know. So science fantasy?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know about this series. Recently, well, actually, 2 years ago, I did a book club on this, the York series by Laura Ruby. And
Yeah, I've not heard
if
of
I
that.
had to compare his writing to her writing,
Uh-huh.
I would say it's very similar because
Okay.
it's sci-fi, it's alternate universe, it's a
Yeah.
bit of historical fiction, it's mystery, it's adventure, it's a coming of age story, and it's very similar. So you might be interested in reading it. I have to tell you,
Okay.
I've read the trilogy of the York series
Yeah.
3 times.
Okay.
I'm going for a 4th this summer.
All
Because
right.
I just enjoy it so much. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a fellow sci-fi fan myself.
Okay. All
So
right. Yeah, I've read all 4 books in the Hitchhiker's trilogy
yeah.
several times myself. So
Yeah, it's just it's these kind of books kind of like intrigue, I don't know about you, intrigue me
Mhm.
because it's almost like a modern mythology if I had to equate it.
Yeah, that's a good description too. Yeah, modern
Yeah.
mythology. Yeah, and one of the things I really like about him, even as a Christian, nothing is sacred to him, and he's very irreverent at times. But at the same time that he's poking fun at things, it really does kind of make you think.
Yes.
Why do people have this perception of religion, for example? Yeah, but aside from that, I mean, just his quirkiness and some of the things that he
Yes.
comes up with.
Well, if we remember, our church was, solidified with the blood of martyrs. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
solidified through the ecumenical councils, through the
Hmm.
heresies that, we tried to figure out now who is Christ and who
Right.
is the
Exactly. Yeah.
Theotokos.
Hmm.
So this tension is a good thing because, like you say, it kind
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
clarifies what we truly believe.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, question number 2. What is a favorite quote you have that is about education?
Okay. Well, I got to get a little more serious on this one. I have it posted right here on my quote.
Oh, nice.
The quote is, "Every pedagogy assumes an anthropology." Christopher Perrin mentions this quote in his classical one of the introductory classes. Unfortunately, I forgot to look up who it is that he's actually quoting. So yeah, and I don't have it written down here, I just have the quote itself written down. But what I like about that quote is it reminds me that I'm working with people. I'm working with human beings. And that was, so I taught at the university for a number of years. After I got my PhD, I stayed on at the University of Kansas as a lecturer for a while. And so I've had a lot of experience, not just at KU, but also at Washburn University here in Topeka. I taught German at both places. And so that gave me the experience of teaching within the modern, progressive, liberal milieu. And it was very much how he describes the people being, of how Christopher Perrin talks about education, out treating people almost like consumers, really.
Mm-hmm.
The objective was to stuff their heads with very specific knowledge, not so much teach them how to think, but teach them what to think. And that happens even in languages. I'm trying to teach a language, and yet I'm being told, oh, but you really need to address this issue too, or you really need to address this issue as well. And these issues, I'm going, I can't teach that. That goes against my faith. I'm not gonna
Exactly.
do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so then when I started getting introduced to classical education, I heard that quote and I thought, yeah, I really need to keep that in mind, that we're forming human beings here. We're forming the human soul. And so what is the anthropology of these different approaches? One sees humans as consumers, one sees humans as made in the image and likeness of God.
Yes.
And so that's the one that I need to be approaching from and want to be approaching from. So
it is a powerful quote, and it's the difference between, of course, the industrial revolution that kind of led itself from the one-room schoolhouse in America, right, into the public, school system.
The factories that we call schools.
Right, the systematic nature of it. Now, I will confess, I am a product of that. And so for what it is right. And but the quote reinforces, like what you said, that our children are ingots to be formed, or or they're not going to be filled with knowledge, but rather it's what is true, what is good, is what is beautiful, and how do we teach them to find that, right. To use Saint Basil, who Saint Paisios later used, right? How do you be the bee? How do we teach them to go to what's true, good, and beautiful, and glean from that? I really love that quote, and actually I looked it up while you were speaking. It looks like of course the quote is his, but it comes from a book by Smith, Desiring the Kingdom. So for those of you that were wondering the title, but I think it's really important. I love that you brought that up, because of course, every one of us is unrepeatable, right? And so we have to focus on that. And again, Saint Basil, when he talks about, the person and economy versus akrivia, exactness, right? He talks about that anthropological piece. Yeah, very, very good. All right, Father, you give me lots to think about, which I love. All right, so here's the next three questions are the most difficult.
Oh, yes.
So, what are your hobbies that you enjoy? What are the hobbies that you enjoy?
As opposed to the ones that I don't enjoy?
True.
Okay.
That is very good exactness, Father. Thank you. Humility is needed.
Okay, well, let's see. So I do have a few hobbies. Probably my main hobby, I would say, is dabbling in various languages. So I've formally studied German, obviously, and my PhD is in Germanic Languages and Literatures. I was in the linguistics track for that one, so my focus there was more on how to teach the language than on the language itself. But my master's was primarily a literature master's. And then I've also taken classes in Russian, French, and modern Hebrew. I did dabble a
Oh,
little bit in biblical Hebrew, but not a whole lot.
wait, modern Hebrew. You know,
Uh-huh.
I've been trying to find someone.
You don't want me to teach it. My knowledge of it is so rusty right now. I
Okay.
I can work my way through a text and kind of
Yeah.
come up with an idea of what it's saying, but
Okay, we'll
yeah.
prepare that for 24-25. You
Okay.
heard it here first, people. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, um, but then kind of on my own, I've been trying to learn Irish Gaelic.
Ooh.
And that's been fun. It's a really fascinating language,
Huh.
and also a lot because I have some Irish heritage. My mom's maiden name was Rourke, and we've traced
Ah.
her heritage back to Killarney in County Kerry
Wow.
in Ireland. Yeah, and another hobby of mine. I always have my tin whistle nearby. Um,
Will you play something for us?
right now?
No pressure.
No pressure.
No, you don't have to.
I also have an Irish flute that I made out of a PVC pipe that I play.
Wow.
Always at hand too.
All right, so
um,
you'll owe us a little concert.
I'll put together a little concert. I don't know a whole lot of tunes. I dabble in it, so I do know a few tunes.
Well, fun fact, in lower school, we are actually offering a recorder,
Oh yeah,
general music class.
recorder around here
That's,
somewhere.
yeah, for lower school. So maybe you'll make a guest appearance.
Hmm. Yeah, that could be a get kids turned on to tin whistle.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so okay, so languages, music,
Uh-huh.
anything else?
Um, Woodworking a little bit.
Oh,
So I started, so actually when I was in high school, I took 2 years of woodshop, and it honestly was my favorite class that I took. And I was on hiatus for a number of years. I didn't really do anything with it, although I still have two of my projects that I made in that class that I use still.
I love it.
And
And
then,
okay, so now I have to ask.
uh-huh.
So what are the two things that you made that you still use?
I have a tool carrier that I use, that I have out in the garage that has some of my tools in it. And then I have a butler tray that I
Oh,
made, a really nice butler tray out of walnut. And I
nice.
use it sometimes as a writing tray or as a like a lap table when I'm
Yeah,
sitting down to write or to eat or something like that. So I
nice.
made that one in eighth grade, and I still use it.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
So, but a few years ago, I started getting back into it. I bought a few power tools, and I've done more construction work, like
Yeah.
working on our porch and the back porch and stuff like that. But I've also at the same time tried to work on some smaller projects. So I have a little step stool in here that I made. I have a desk organizer that I made, and I've got a couple projects on the table right now. A six board chest that I made that I turned into a toolbox. I
Wow.
finished that last summer. I constructed it last summer. I still haven't finished it. I've got some details I still need to work on, so it's not finished. But and then I built a workbench in my basement this last fall. In get well, on somewhat morbid side here, I have a couple of plans. I'm going to start prototyping for coffins, and
Yeah.
I have a plan to build my own coffin, but also, I'd like to present some ideas to our
Mhm.
parish because we've been talking about having
Yeah.
a burial society and having some ideas for, parishioners making their own coffins or somebody in the parish making one.
Yes.
Um, so I'm thinking about doing that as well.
Christ has risen,
Indeed, users.
you know? So yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've been getting back into the last
Good.
couple of years, and also our parish bought 29 acres of land
Wow,
inside the city limits in Topeka, and we're planning to build a new temple on it.
good.
And so another parishioner and I got together last spring, and we built a large cross out of some of the wood, so a couple of trees that we cut down off of the property.
Oh,
Yeah,
how beautiful.
so we put that up on the property where the temple's going to be. And then once the temple's
Beautiful.
built, we're going to move that somewhere else. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Well, my wheels churn. Everybody knows my wheels churn.
Yeah.
So 24-25, Father Michael. I'm going to put it out there.
Okay.
Jesus Christ,
Mm-hmm.
woodworking,
Yeah.
and the faith.
Okay, I'll have to think about that.
And using the simple tools, right?
Mhm.
Not buzz saws and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I recently started getting into hand tools
Yeah, the
more than
plane.
the power tool. Yeah, so I have several planes that a couple of them that I restored. I bought at a local flea market and I restored them, and I've been learning how to use them, and different types of saws, and then building different jigs on that will help me then be able to use those hand tools. That's actually why I built the workbench that I now have down in the basement. I have another workbench out in the garage that I use for my power tools, and then the one that's in the basement is going to be my hand tool workbench.
Love it. See, so many ideas, so little time.
Exactly.
We'll do a rotation basis.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We'll have a woodshop class.
That's right. And talk about Christ, right? And talk about Joseph, because Joseph taught him the skills, right? And yeah. Oh, what a wonderful class. Stay tuned. 24-25. All right, next question.
Next question.
What's one food or beverage you really enjoy?
So for this one, that would be a Reuben sandwich.
Ooh.
Yeah. It seems like every time I go to a new restaurant, one of the things I look for on their menu, if it's the right type of restaurant, one of the things I look for on their menu is, do they offer a Reuben? And if they do, I order it because I want to see what their variation of the Reuben is. Why?
It's all about the Thousand Island, right?
Yeah, I think so. Although there are some people who do Russian dressing instead of Thousand Island, so it's a little different. But yeah, I don't know. It's just that the combination of corned beef and the tanginess of the sauerkraut. I'm a fan of sauerkraut. My wife hates it, but
I am anathema. I order a Reuben without the sauerkraut.
Oh, really? Well, it's not really a Reuben.
It says it on the menu.
Yeah. So I don't know why specifically that, or where I developed a taste for it, but yeah.
Maybe like you said, it's just a combination of flavors.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's good. Yeah.
Well, you are a German teacher.
I am. Yes.
So, sauerkraut, that's the first thing I think of. Bratwurst, sauerkraut.
Yeah.
So maybe
and I have a lot of German heritage too. So,
your tongue just knows.
Exactly. Yeah.
Has memory of your ancestors.
Right.
True. Yeah. True. All right.
The
last question.
Okay.
Probably, I think, the most reflective of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
When and how did you decide to become an educator?
So when I first started when I first went to graduate school, I really didn't have the idea of becoming a teacher. And I thought, okay, this might be a possibility down the road. My main reason actually for entering into the master's program was because I knew it would help me if I wanted to be a translator. And that was kind of the direction that I was going in, was doing professional translation work. But when I got accepted into the program, they had a GTA position open, and at the University of Kansas, the GTAs aren't just assistants to a professor. We're actually the teachers of the class. So we teach the class, we come up with the
Oh,
materials, we're responsible for her gradings. So it's actually more appropriate to call us graduate teaching instructors rather than assistants. And that was my first experience in the classroom. And right away, I realized I really enjoyed doing this. And apparently, I was good at it. When professors would sit in to evaluate me, they couldn't stop talking about how well I was doing, and uh, they'd correct me on a few things here and there, say maybe you want to think about doing this instead. But the
yeah.
majority of it was just overwhelmingly positive, and I kept getting really positive reviews from the students. And so I thought, well, this might be a good way to go. And then along the way, I met James Taylor, Father Porphyrios, and
Yes.
started hearing about his experiences teaching, and especially his idea of developing wonder
Yes.
in students and children. And that really got me thinking, it's like, well, how can I incorporate that into what I'm doing at the university? And so I tried doing that. Um, but when you're restricted to a specific syllabus
Right.
and a specific textbook, and yeah, they really want you to use very particular
Yeah.
methods in your classroom. It's kind of hard to do that. I tried as best as I could, mostly through the introduction of music to the class, and trying to use that as a way of developing interest, developing wonder about the language, and as well as poetry. Trying to bring in
Right.
occasionally poetry or little sayings from German as well.
Nice.
So that really got me thinking. That was actually what started me on the road toward more classical education, was my friendship with him. And unfortunately, I didn't get around to reading his book until after he passed away.
Oh,
We did talk about it a couple of times, though, and what he had to say in it, and what experiences
yeah.
led up to him actually writing the book. Um, but that was kind of what then led me down the path of becoming an educator, realizing that I enjoy doing it, but also I'm having an effect on these students. And that was the one thing, people would ask me, what is it that you like most about teaching? And
Mhm.
my immediate response is, seeing that aha moment with the
Yes.
students. Yeah. when
Yes.
when that light comes on and you go like, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's yeah. I don't know how to describe that feeling, but it's just wonderful to see that happen and go, yes, you're learning, you're getting it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And our own aha moments at
Right.
times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
The
know,
time.
that when a student says something and you're like,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Right.
oh,
It's like, yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but
yeah,
yeah, that's okay.
the reverse aha moment.
Exactly. Right.
Well, what a journey, what a journey. And, we are so thankful that you're going to come and you're going to share all of those experiences, all of your talents with our SRS community. As you all can see, I'm very excited on more ways than one about having Father Michael join us. So be on the lookout for his classes. And of course, 24-25 will be offering new things. He just doesn't know it yet.
You just said, oh, I gotta think of these now.
You have a whole year, Father,
I
a
have.
whole year.
Do you know what the year of an educator is usually like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually do. 26 years of it.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, this was a joy. Thank you, Father. Once again, this is
My job.
Father Michael DeHaven. He will be teaching catechism and catechetical humanities, what I like to call, and a little bit of science. And so please join us. Father, any last comments, thoughts?
I just want to say I'm really excited to be doing this. Yeah, I was I was glad when the opportunity came up, and I really look forward to this. I've been teaching for Scholé for 2 years now, German for Scholé. So to come into SRS now is really an exciting thing for me. So
Is such a blessing for us, and because Father Michael and I have worked closely as colleagues this past year. I'm just so thankful, and I know our students are just going to get so much out of it. So it's going to be a good year, Father, a good
it'll be a
year.
good year.
All right. Well, Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
And what was I gonna say? Oh, our courses actually open for enrollment on the 24th. Always remember, and I always say this, if you want a specific class time and section, make sure you register early, because as you all know, we have limited space in our SRS classes. So I look forward to a wonderful year, Father. Reach out to us if you have any questions, or specifically if you have questions for Father Michael on the classes he's going to be teaching. You can reach him at his email or myself. So this was once again 5 questions with your classical educator. Today we highlighted Father Michael DeHaven. Take care until we see you next time.
Yeah, take care as well.
Thanks.